A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. Just trying to get another review or two done early this morning. I know I owe people responses in the comments of different videos. I am trying to slowly but surely get to those. I'm really bad at that. I need to get better. But I am trying to get a couple more March Mystery Madness book reviews in. I think I have a couple I still need to do for Historathon Q1 as well. But I know I have a couple that I've recorded that I just need to finish editing and push out. But the review for this particular video is The Wheel Spins by Ethel Lena White, not Ethela. Ethel Lena White. This is a British Library Crime Classic Edition, and this this book was adapted for the film by Alfred Hitchcock as The Lady Vanishes. And I initially heard of The Lady Vanishes through Timothy Zahn's Quadrail series, which is weird that that's my first introduction because I actually have watched a lot of Hitchcock, or a decent amount of Hitchcock anyway, long before, or decently before I read Timothy Zahn. I can't exactly, remember when I started reading Quadrail. But anyway, so it's funny that my exposure to a Hitchcock film should be a book. That's not the source material. But this one is the source material. I still have not yet watched the Hitchcock film. And from what I understand, there have been some changes made between the film and the book. I think a couple character names, things like that. But the essence, from what I understand, is still there. And when you read this book, it's very much of a Hitchcockian book. Like, when I finished it, it's like, yeah, I can see why Hitchcock went with this book. Because it has that sort of Twilight Zone, am I going crazy or is everyone against me kind of feel to it. So the person that you're following is Iris Carr. She's not initially the most likable heroine. She's a bit shallow. She's very self-absorbed, almost to the point of selfishness. She feels like it's almost, because she's in a popular, she's in a group of friends where they see it as a point of pride, where they're so obnoxious that nobody likes them. So yeah, there's that kind of group. And so she alienates the people around her just because of the kind of person that she is and the kind of people she hangs around with. Although you get the idea that maybe on her own, if she didn't have these influences, she might not be quite as offensive if that were, if she wasn't all connected to this group. But anyway, without giving too much away, she ends up separated from her main group due to a bit of a tiff within the friend group. And she ends up taking a train home by herself. And this also works for, was it March on the Rails, I believe? This works for March on the Rails as well. So she takes a train back home alone. And what happens on that train is where she has the most insane experience. She meets a person, and then the person vanishes. And everyone tells her this person didn't exist. So you are with Iris the entire time, fighting this feeling of, am I insane? Are they insane? Is everyone against me? And you can feel the panic bubbling up within her as she's trying to figure out if she's losing her mind or somehow she ended up in the middle of this vast conspiracy, and why the heck she's in the middle of this conspiracy, if this is a conspiracy. And so you feel the reeling of her thoughts, and you can feel her panic going up each step of the way. And you find yourself empathizing and sympathizing with this character who you're not necessarily inclined to like at the beginning of the book. But as you enter into her feelings with her, you can't help but hope that everything turns out for the best, that she gets out of this okay, and that nothing terrible happens to her. So this is, I wouldn't call this your traditional mystery. So like, I wouldn't apply to it the same tight rules, for lack of a better term, that I apply to most other mysteries that I read, where I expect a certain level of transparency with the audience so that or with the reader, so we have an opportunity to solve the mystery with the author. That's not this kind of story. This is almost more of a suspense story / you can even argue horror. Although horror might be a bit strong for it, than an actual mystery. Yes, there is a mystery about the lady who vanishes, but the story is not so much, yes, it's about solving, but it's more about this heady feeling of unreality and trying to not lose that grasp on reality. That's why I say it's a very Hitchcockian or Twilight Zone type story, where you almost just need that like music in the background that indicates the intense growing feeling of panic, or the uncanniness of the situation. Or you need like, those black and white close shots at weird angles, like kind of like, wait, what, like, am I crazy or is everyone else? Like the very Hitchcockian Twilight Zone. You can see why this got made into a movie. Anyone who's watched Lady Vanishes knows how this ends, most likely. But for those who have not read the book or watched the movie, I don't want to do more than give you a general idea of the feeling of what's going on in the book. I do feel that initially I thought it was taking forever to get to the point, because it felt like initially Ethelina White was going like, and she didn't know what she would, that in the future she would wish to spend time with these people, or she didn't know that in the future, and for a while she kept doing this before Iris gets on the train, and I was starting to be like, okay, well, is anything going to be happening? But once you actually get on the train is when things really start to heat up. While I do think that the buildup maybe at the beginning was a bit longer than it needed to be, I do understand why she took her time with it, because she wanted to really establish the kind of person Iris is at the beginning of the book, and the impression she makes on the people around her, and how this is going to affect how she is perceived and treated throughout the rest of the book. And without that buildup, even though it might seem a bit slow at the start, I think that the book would not be quite as impactful, because Iris has to realize then that some of this that she's experiencing is her own fault, which makes it 10 times worse. But yes, really enjoyable book. Don't go into expecting, a classic murder mystery. That's not what this is. This is more of a Hitchcockian suspense story, with the kind of suspense that just is the characters' panic rising and rising and rising, and where you are holding your breath with them hoping that everything turns out okay. This has made me want to reread the Quadrail series, particularly the first Quadrail book. And as I mentioned, Quadrail is a Timothy Zahn sci-fi series that first introduced me to The Lady Vanishes. At that point, I had not watched the movie. I still haven't watched the movie, and I hadn't read the book yet. But Zahn makes a very definite effort to point out the movie this book was based off of multiple times. He actually makes it a plot point in his book. And I want to go back and read and see if some of the themes that I've noticed in the original book is something that Zahn has woven into his Quadrail series, or at least the first book where he mentions Lady Vanishes multiple times. And I do believe that some of that feeling of everyone is, everyone is working against me, or am I going crazy kind of thing, I think Zahn has built that into the first Quadrail book. And I'm wondering how much of that was inspired by The Lady Vanishes, or in the book case, The Wheel Spins. So I look forward to re-examining a book that I've read many, many times over in the first Quadrail book, and seeing if having the fresh eyes of having read the book upon which The Lady Vanishes is based is going to just give me another perspective on an old favorite book. So I'm hoping to go through and read that hopefully fairly soon and give you all an idea of what I think. Quadrail takes place on a essentially space train. So you have the same kind of setup with the train and everything. Now, it goes several other locations, but the train is the central focus. And it's not the exact same, but there are some basic feeling that's in there, I think. And I think that's on purpose. I think that Zahn was might have been very much influenced by, if not the classic book, the classic movie it was based upon, that was based upon it. Anyway, if you have not checked out The Wheel Spins, check it out. And then maybe check out The Lady Vanishes. Now, I've heard it's very good. I've not watched it yet, although I need to. So maybe you'll get to Lady Vanishes before I do. Maybe that's one that, what was it, Randy Ray and, I'll have to tag them both, because I'm bad at remembering names. I can see, the other guy in my head. Oh man, why? James. I think your name's James. I can't remember the name of your channel. I will have to tag you both. Maybe you guys should do, The Lady Vanishes. I don't know. Just a random thought. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and I will see you the next time. God bless. Bye-bye.
Books keep coming home with me. Piles so tall, they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.